Hello everyone and welcome back to the Nordic Sound channel. It has been a chaotic month for me, and to add to the chaos, while I was up in Jackson, Wyoming, MIDGARDSBLOT decided to drop the first band lineup announcement, catching me and others completely off guard, considering just how soon after last MIDGARDSBLOT it already is, how early they're announcing this lineup, and I can sort of see why they were so excited to get this news out. So, before I get started today, just want to let you guys know that I have revamped the Patreon. Very simple, $5 general support, $10 tier, you enter what I have very cleverly called the Skald Circle, and with that, you both support the channel. You get a monthly story time with me with one of these folk tales, myths, or legends back here. People seem to love those so far, been doing them for a few months now. And then, of course, you also get the scripts to the more historical-based, scholarly content that I do here. Speaking of which, I have finally finished up the script to the Viking music video that I promised many months back in the Why Vikings video. And this is actually going to be the only the first of a 3-part series of videos on Viking Age music practice. So look forward to these now that my chaos is done. I have the time to sit down and work on things that I enjoy again. Expect a series of at least 3 videos covering Viking Age music from the history to the actual culture of it, all the way up to what we call Viking music today. So if you want to support this work that I'm doing here on the channel for Nordic music of all kinds from past to present, please consider joining the Patreon over at patreon.com/Nordic Sound channel. So enough of that, let's get into talking about the MIDGARDSBLOT 2024 announcement. So we all knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of when. And of course, I'm talking about the band that needs no introduction, Amon A-freaking-marth. All right? These guys have been absolute titans in what is called the Viking metal scene, whatever you want to call it, just death metal flavored with Viking shit. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I know that Amon A-freaking-marth is pretty divisive, especially with people in this community, but for me, Amon A-freaking-marth is literally the band that introduced me to Norse mythology, okay? I remember I was in high school. My usual listening was just, Metallica, Led Zeppelin, the thing your average American high schooler listens to. And I was dabbling in Nordic stuff, right? There was World of Warcraft's Wrath of the Lich King, Skyrim came out, and then somewhere in between there I discovered Lord of the Rings. So I was just getting assaulted on all sides by Nordic flavored stuff. And then one day, one of my close friends comes into school, jams a headphone in my ear and goes, "You have to hear this shit." And it was Surtur Rising. And completely altered the trajectory of where I was going. I became obsessed with the band, loved them to death, and until recently they were my most seen live band. Enslaved recently took that over. So, with that said, I've also been pretty just upfront about the fact that Great Heathen Army was not for me. If you have been with the channel long enough that you remember when I reviewed it about a year and a half ago at this point, it just didn't connect with me. It just wasn't like the Amon A-freaking-marth that I have come to know and love, and this is coming from someone who loved Berserker. I loved Jomsviking, loved Deceiver of the Gods. I loved all of their albums, but Great Heathen Army just really fell flat for me. And if you think that I am lying, I have with you all of my CDs. These two in particular were the first CDs I ever bought for myself with my own money. Twilight of the Thunder God and The Avenger. And then the Berserker is probably my most played CD. I've also got signed by the band. So I'm a huge fan of them, and I'm pretty unapologetic about the fact that I loved Berserker and everything before it. Sorry, I know the angle's different. I just needed to edit in this further evidence of just how much of an Amon A-freaking-marth dork I was. 2 anecdotes from college that I love telling. One of them actually involves Johan Hegg himself. I had a lot of Amon A-freaking-marth shirts in college. I just loved the imagery. I thought it was the only way I had at the time to express that I was into Norse mythology in terms of appearance, right? And one of my music theory teachers, this guy was a total smartass. I loved him to death, Dan Prindle. He commented on, wow, you really don't like Dan, do you? He commented on the fact that I had a different Amon A-freaking-marth shirt for every class, and we met 3 times a week, right? And he gave me so much shit for it that one morning I went around to all of my classmates' dorms and handed them Amon A-freaking-marth t-shirts. And they all showed up to class wearing Amon A-freaking-marth shirts. And one of my good friends, Mackie, he was always late. After the joke stopped being funny, we went on to class. He barges in late, Kramer style, wearing an Amon A-freaking-marth shirt. And it was just one of my most cherished memories from college. And it involves just the fact that I had so many Amon A-freaking-marth shirts that I could give one to every single one of my music theory classmates. And then, of course, when Jomsviking came out, there is a comic book store / record store in New Hampshire called Bull Moose. And for the Jomsviking release, they had that really expensive, like, Viking ship sculpture. My friends actually tried to pitch in enough money to just buy it for me, just like as a joke, as a meme. They didn't get enough money together for it, but it was like just the idea that, oh, we're in the comic book store, we see this sculpture from the new Amon A-freaking-marth album, super dorky in the best way possible. Jameson would love it. And all of this is really just to paint a picture for you guys that Amon A-freaking-marth just has like such a special place in not just my heart, but in my upbringing in terms of how I got here, in terms of studying Nordic music as a PhD, teaching Nordic studies and Norse mythology in a university. It really all starts with Amon A-freaking-marth for me, and that's where I'm coming from here, all right? Back to the rest of the more coherent video. With that said, even people who don't like Amon A-freaking-marth, they put on a hell of a show. The same can be said with another Swedish band, Sabaton. You can hate them all you want, for those of you who don't like them, but they put on a killer show. And Amon A-freaking-marth, they're going to be absolutely in their elements at MIDGARDSBLOT 2024. Johan Haig, the company Grimfrost, has been at MIDGARDSBLOT, so none of us are really surprised that they're playing. As I said, it was a matter of if, not when. So, long story short, with Amon A-freaking-marth with me, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of their recent album, I know that the songs are going to be awesome live. Hadrian, I am in particular, I even mentioned in my review of that album, Hadrian is going to be really cool to see live because I've yet to see them live since Great Heathen Army, so it's going to be pretty cool. Moving right along here to a band that probably came out of left field for a few people. Let me just read the description off of the MIDGARDSBLOT announcement. Bel Canto. The Norwegian electronica pioneers, Bel Canto, will perform at our 2024 edition of MIDGARDSBLOT. Known for their Antarctic soundscapes that often blends folk music from around the world and the haunting vocals of Anneli Drecker, Bel Canto is sure to deliver an unforgettable set. So for those of you who've been listening to their music since this announcement and thinking this isn't metal, MIDGARDSBLOT has plenty of non-metal performances, okay? Last year, it's funny, last year, just a few months ago, we had Mari Boina, Katarina Baruch, Isak. Garmina is not metal, right? As a matter of fact, neither is the core band, Folket, Bortafor, Nordavinden. So I've seen just an odd sentiment growing with MIDGARDSBLOT that it's meant to be just a heavy metal festival, and I cannot recall a time in MIDGARDSBLOT history where there wasn't a non-metal band on the bill. So anyway, Bel Canto, if you listen to them, they got a nice vibe. I'm wondering if they're going to be either on one of the outdoor stages or in the Gildehallen. Probably the Gildehallen. I feel like that's where their music will fit the best, but I could be wrong. They could also just slay on an open air stage. So they're going to fill, as I said, probably the same niche that the more ambient electronica bands that have performed before will fill. Because for those of you who don't know, the founders of MIDGARDSBLOT, they have a lot of history with EDM, electronica, that sort of thing. So it's not out of their wheelhouse. Looking forward to seeing what they do, because one of my favorite things about the MIDGARDSBLOT scene is that people will check out a band out of curiosity that they wouldn't otherwise listen to and end up really digging it. You know, the same thing happened this year with plenty of bands. Gangar, Isak, Katarina Baruch, Steve Von Till. Steve Von Till, I think, is probably the best parallel to Bel Canto. I was looking forward to Steve Von Till because I have loved his music and never actually thought he'd play at MIDGARDSBLOT. But a lot of people enjoyed him, and I think Bel Canto is going to fill a lot of that same niche. Moving back into the metal scene, of course, we have the Swedish death metal band Unleashed. Again, from the announcement, as pioneers of the Swedish death metal scene, Unleashed has been delivering sheer brutality since their formation and have been a force to reckon with ever since. Cricket was just acting out his love for death metal by just destroying his bell while I was describing that. But getting back to Unleashed, I'm looking at you. Getting back to Unleashed, you know, there's just really nothing more to say than what's in that announcement. Swedish death metal, one of the early ons. I just think that death metal doesn't get that much attention, like just straight death metal doesn't get that much time to shine in MIDGARDSBLOT. So I'm definitely looking forward to Unleashed playing this year. But then we get back into regular MIDGARDSBLOT territory here with Ereb Altor, Blackened's Doom, Hammerheart, Bathory styled metal. You guys know that I just love this style of metal, and I've been a fan of Ereb Altor for a very long time. I love to see them sort of like get back into it with their latest EP. I think it's going to be so cool to see them live. Just again, for those of you who aren't familiar with them from the announcement, Ereb Altor will transfer us to the realms of Norse mythology when they take the stage. They will bring their epic Viking doom characterized by a fusion of black metal. Their music carries a sense of grandeur and melancholic beauty, reminiscent of course, the great Viking metal era of Bathory's Hammerheart. So, if you guys want just a reference, My Dying Bride, if you were a fan of them last year, or again this year, you guys are going to be in for a treat with Ereb Altor if you've never listened to them before, for whatever reason. And then another band probably out of left field for people is the mighty Lumsk. Finally, Lumsk will weave their intricate musical tapestry, telling tales of Norse mythology and nature's wonders at MIDGARDSBLOT. We can't wait to experience the beauty and power of their performances as they showcase their incredible music. Lumsk is in the same vein as Gangar, Gotha, Garmana. They are this folk rock that definitely, with Lumsk, you can hear a lot of prog elements. Probably a good parallel is like Baroness, like early Baroness, but also with like fiddles and this mythological references and basis to their lyrics. They're great storytellers, so I can definitely see why some of my good friends were losing their minds over Lumsk getting announced at MIDGARDSBLOT, and I am looking forward to seeing them as well. And then we have a clairvoyant in the audience because someone left a comment on my video on bands I would like to see, asking for this exact band, Fen, the mighty Fen. Fen is renowned for their poetic lyrics, which draw inspiration from nature, folklore, and ancient history. Their music balances raw aggression with moments of reflection and introspection, creating an evocative and transcendent experience for their listeners. Fen is probably in the vein of like my favorite kind of black metal. Not entirely shoegaze, what you would call it, but that, you know, you have those moments of just like ambient or like atmospheric black metal drones interspersed with, exactly as this description mentions, these moments of reflection that often will have like clean guitars over them, maybe some clean singing. It's just well orchestrated. This type of black metal that's in the same vein, just because I just saw them, Garia, who played, and Wolves in the Throne Room, definitely that style of black metal. I am really looking forward to seeing them, and I know that that particular commenter was very happy and felt a very deserved sense of satisfaction for predicting Fen. If you've never listened to Fen before, definitely check out their new album, Monuments to Absence. What an evocative title. The art's amazing, the concept is amazing, so please go through and listen to that if you're into that type of like reflective black metal, which is maybe an odd genre term, but you guys will know what I mean if you listen to it. And two bands to mention last but never least is Eldrim and Folket Bortafor Nordavinden. Eldrim was definitely missed last year. Espen was there, and you could tell that everyone's like, come on man, play for us, get the band together, do a little show for us. Eldrim is just such an iconic band in like this Viking, medieval, Iron Age, living history music scene. Espen himself has sort of become like, before that new, I cannot remember her name, but a new person has sort of come along and become like the internet's face of the Talharpa. But before her, Espen Winter was the internet's face for the Talharpa. He was even featured on BBC when they did a little short video on the history of the Talharpa. He's the one that made his own, the Null. He did the Viking funeral marches, he called it. And I remember when that video got viral when I think I was in college. But anyway, I cannot overstate just how crucial to this scene Eldrim is. And I am super excited to see them live because I actually missed their set at MIDGARDSBLOT 2022. So, going to make up for it, redeem myself, and also if you've been following Espen Winter's social media, you know that he's been in the studio quite a bit, and when a musician is in the studio, usually that means we got new music coming. So not only will they make a return, they will hopefully make a return with new music. I cannot be more excited. And then of course, Folket, Bortafor, Nordavinden, the heart and soul of MIDGARDSBLOT, will be doing their opening ritual. Hopefully they will be leading more of those late night Gildeholland sets. Those were so much fun. And Folket, Bortafor, Nordavinden, if you guys haven't somehow followed this channel but haven't listened to them, I've had Benny on twice. And, you know, I tend to have a lot of the musicians on that are in that Folket, Bortafor, Nordavinden sphere, gravitational pull, if you want to call it. I just want to take this moment again to say just like how important Folket, Bortafor, Nordavinden is to the MIDGARDSBLOT experience. For those of you who haven't gone yet, it's not just the opening ritual, it's just sort of the spirit that gets carried on throughout the festival from that opening ritual. The experience of seeing Benny play, that is just a mountain of a man. I've said that if a mountain could sing, it would be Benny. So if you guys have not had the just the privilege of seeing Folket, Bortafor, Nordavinden live and participating in the incredible experience that they create for us, and you are going to MIDGARDSBLOT for the first time for 2024, or you are planning on it, I really look forward to hearing what you guys have to say, because seeing that band is just one hell of a special experience. And so with this awesome announcement out of the way, I just want to give you guys a short revised list of my expectations, hopes, predictions, whatever you want to call it, for future announcements. Judging from who was announced now, sort of getting the vibe check, and then also looking at who's releasing new music and who's also touring next summer at other European festivals that have already been announced. Insomnium, I would still love to see Insomnium play. Anno 1696, I hope I got those numbers right off the top of my head, was probably, not to spoil it, my favorite Nordic album of this year. I listened to it constantly. It was just so unique and was definitely a return to form for Insomnium. It would be so cool to see them perform this live at MIDGARDSBLOT. And then also on the Finnish side, Corporate Colony, I just want to see them. That is a purely selfish thing. I want them at MIDGARDSBLOT so I can see Corporate Colony. There's really nothing more to it. And of course, Dimmu Borgir has announced that they are back in the touring circuit. They are going to be returning to the stage this summer for the first time in however long. It is going to be so cool if we see Dimmu Borgir at MIDGARDSBLOT this year. I really don't have to do a lot of legwork in convincing you why they would be a great fit at MIDGARDSBLOT. And then another new one that I didn't mention last time, Abath. I know he's been a little bit of a wild card lately. I think that'll be the most diplomatic way for me to put it. You know, Matt Pike from High on Fire and Sleep called him the Elvis of black metal. I would just love to see him at MIDGARDSBLOT, especially because I did love his last album. And for everyone who is sort of like criticizing it harshly for the production value, it's black metal. I want it to be raw. I want it to like not be perfectly recorded. And I thought it really added, especially to his cover of Trapped Under Ice, which was, I would say, I think I like more than Metallica's. And then lastly, the band that I am not going to give up on. This is the weirdest hill I will die on for MIDGARDSBLOT. Huvendruven. Garmina played, Golta played, Gangar played. Huvendruven would fit in because all of those bands still blew people away at MIDGARDSBLOT despite being like folk rock, folk fusion. So, would love to see Huvendruven. I will beat that drum until I am cold and in the ground. All right, that is the video for today, my friends. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the lineup. Amon A-freaking-marth in particular got some mixed responses, but I will just, in my normal cheery optimistic self, I will say that as someone who was raised Nordically on Amon A-freaking-marth's music at first, I am super stoked to see them play at MIDGARDSBLOT. Not really their home turf, but I mean, like at a Viking festival, Amon A-freaking-marth, it's just their bread and butter, right? All right. So thank you guys for watching. Looking forward to hear your thoughts. Like, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'm looking forward to the next announcements and seeing what you guys have to say down below. All right, take care.